What if the greatest weapon of the 21st century isn't a missile or a cyber attack, but the power to control the human mind? For decades, a veil of secrecy has shrouded the Pentagon's deep exploration into the realm of human consciousness. This isn't just about fringe science. It's about unlocking the hidden potential of the mind and potentially manipulating reality itself. The question then becomes, what are the implications if such power falls into the wrong hands? The stakes are far higher than you might imagine. Advanced consciousness technologies could be used for mass manipulation, eroding individual autonomy and shaping societal beliefs on a global scale. If these technologies are weaponized, the global power balance could shift dramatically, leading to a new era of psychic warfare. But perhaps the most profound implication is what these discoveries reveal about the nature of reality itself. Does consciousness extend beyond the physical brain? Can it interact with the world in ways we don't yet understand? And what are the ethical boundaries of altering consciousness, even with the best intentions? These are the questions that demand our attention. Our journey begins with Project Stargate, a highly classified initiative launched during the Cold War. Driven by the fear of Soviet psychic capabilities, the US military embarked on a quest to explore the potential of the human mind as a tool for espionage and warfare. Declassified documents reveal that Stargate focused heavily on remote viewing, a technique that proponents claimed allowed individuals to see distant locations and events using only their minds. Anecdotal accounts from project participants describe surprising accuracy in some remote viewing sessions, with individuals able to describe details of secret Soviet installations with uncanny precision. But remote viewing was just the tip of the iceberg. Beyond Stargate, the Pentagon's research extended into other altered states of consciousness, exploring the potential of meditation, hypnosis, and sensory deprivation to unlock enhanced mental abilities. These techniques, long practiced in ancient spiritual traditions, were now being examined through a military lens. For thousands of years, cultures around the world have utilized meditation and similar practices to achieve heightened states of awareness and tap into what they believe to be universal principles. Was the Pentagon seeking to harness these same principles for strategic advantage? What were the Pentagon's true motives for pursuing this research with such intensity and secrecy? Was it solely driven by the desire for military dominance, or were they seeking something more profound about the nature of consciousness itself? And what hidden technologies might have emerged from this research, technologies that remain classified to this day? Could these technologies allow for the direct manipulation of thoughts and emotions? Perhaps most intriguingly, could consciousness itself be a force that shapes or influences reality? Could the double-slit experiment, which demonstrates how observation affects the behavior of quantum particles, offer a clue to understanding the Pentagon's interest in harnessing the power of the mind? Or is there a greater cosmic threat that we are facing that has driven this research into the hidden potential of consciousness? So, how exactly did Project Stargate operate behind closed doors? Picture a clandestine unit, funded by both the CIA and the DIA, operating under a veil of intense secrecy. At its helm were figures like General Albert Stubblebine, a man deeply convinced of the potential of psychic phenomena, and who believed that soldiers could even learn to walk through walls. Project Stargate was not just a whimsical exploration, but a structured attempt to weaponize the unseen. The core of Stargate was its methodology, centered around remote viewing. Recruits, some with claimed natural psychic abilities and others with no prior experience, underwent rigorous training in standardized protocols. They would sit in a quiet room, shielded from external stimuli, and receive a set of coordinates or a vague descriptor as their target. That target could be anything from a Soviet submarine base to a hostage situation halfway around the world. The viewers would then attempt to see the target location with their mind's eye, sketching images and describing details. How much trust would you place in such a methodology if you were in charge of national security? Assessing the accuracy of remote viewing presented a unique challenge. How do you verify information gleaned from psychic impressions? The process typically involved comparing the viewer's descriptions with intelligence data gathered through conventional means. Successes were often anecdotal, details that couldn't be explained away by chance. For example, a remote viewer accurately describing a piece of equipment inside a previously unknown Soviet research facility. But there were also failures, instances where the viewer's perceptions were wildly off base. The debate over Stargate's true success rate continues to this day, fueled by the inherent ambiguity of the data and the layers of secrecy that still surround the program. Even after declassification, many documents remain heavily redacted, and some participants are still reluctant to speak openly about their experiences, reinforcing the sense that something significant remains hidden. But Project Stargate was not the only avenue of exploration. There was also the gateway experience. What if you could use sound itself to unlock the hidden potential of the mind? Developed by the Monroe Institute, the gateway experience purported to do just that, using specific sound patterns to alter states of consciousness. Think of it as a guided meditation on steroids, leveraging technology to bypass the limitations of the conscious mind. A declassified document titled Analysis and Assessment of Gateway Process delves into the theoretical underpinnings of the gateway experience. Released in 2003, this document makes astonishing claims, aligning the gateway process with concepts straight out of quantum mechanics, even referencing the work of physicists like Schrödinger and Heisenberg. It suggests that the gateway experience could allow individuals to access altered states of consciousness and potentially even interact with non-physical dimensions of reality. Is this evidence of genuine scientific breakthrough or elaborate pseudoscience dressed up in technical jargon? At the heart of the gateway experience is hemi-sync technology, short for hemispheric synchronization. This involves using binaural beats and other audio techniques to synchronize the brain's left and right hemispheres. The idea is that by achieving this synchronization, you can induce altered states of consciousness, enhance focus, and tap into hidden mental abilities. Imagine your brain as an orchestra, with different sections playing independently. Hemi-sync is like a conductor, bringing all the sections into harmony to create a more powerful and unified sound. Is this the key to unlocking the mind's full potential? The gateway experience, like Stargate, underscores the Pentagon's intense interest in altered states of consciousness. These weren't just academic pursuits. They were active explorations of methods to potentially enhance human capabilities for military applications. From remote viewing to sound-induced altered states, the Pentagon was leaving no stone unturned in its quest to understand and harness the power of the human mind. But the exploration didn't stop there. What role does language play in all of this? Enter neurolinguistic programming, or NLP. At its core, NLP is a model that explores the connection between language, thought patterns, and behavior. It suggests that by understanding how these elements interact, you can reprogram your own mind and influence the behavior of others. Think of it as a user manual for your brain, offering techniques to optimize your thoughts, emotions, and actions. The Pentagon, always seeking an edge, likely recognized the potential of NLP for strategic communication, persuasion, and even psychological warfare. Imagine using carefully crafted language patterns to subtly influence the beliefs or behaviors of an adversary. For example, using specific phrases to instill doubt, fear, or compliance. It's like planting a seed in someone's mind that subtly guides their actions. How pervasive could this subtle influence be if deployed correctly? But the power of language isn't a new discovery. Ancient traditions of rhetoric and persuasion have long recognized the power of carefully chosen words. Think of the power of mantras in Eastern spiritual traditions, or the use of spells and incantations in ancient cultures. Could NLP simply be a modern, secular interpretation of a timeless understanding of the power of language and intention? The use of NLP raises serious ethical concerns. Is it acceptable to use language to manipulate others, even for strategic purposes? Where do you draw the line between persuasion and coercion? The potential for subliminal messaging and the erosion of free will looms large, prompting us to ask, how can we safeguard our minds against such subtle forms of control? But what about techniques that work not through external stimulus, but by looking inward? For centuries, meditation has been used to alter consciousness and cultivate inner peace. Now, modern science is beginning to unravel the mysteries of what is actually happening in the brain when we meditate. Scientific evidence increasingly supports the profound effects of meditation on brainwave states. Different brainwave frequencies, such as alpha, theta, and delta, are associated with different states of consciousness. Alpha waves are linked to relaxation, theta waves to deep meditation, and delta waves to sleep. Meditation can train the brain to shift into these beneficial states more readily, cultivating a sense of calm and focus. Consider the monk brain research, a fascinating example of scientific inquiry into the brain activity of experienced meditators. Studies have shown that monks who have spent years in deep meditation exhibit significantly higher levels of gamma wave activity than the average person. Gamma waves are associated with enhanced cognitive function, increased awareness, and even feelings of bliss. Could this be the key to unlocking higher states of consciousness? Given these findings, it's highly likely that the Pentagon investigated meditation and brainwave entrainment as methods for achieving and controlling altered states for practical purposes. Imagine soldiers trained to quickly enter a state of deep focus in the midst of combat, or intelligence officers enhancing their intuitive abilities through mindfulness practices. Perhaps meditation isn't just a path to inner peace, but a tool for strategic advantage. All of these techniques seem to point to a single question. Is it possible to amplify the power of the mind to the point that it can shape external reality? This brings us to one of the most perplexing concepts in modern physics, the observer effect. In the quantum realm, the very act of observing a particle seems to influence its behavior. Before observation, a particle exists in a state of superposition, meaning it could be in multiple places or states at once. But when you try to measure its position or state, the act of observation forces it to choose a single definite state. It's as if consciousness itself is playing a role in shaping reality. Then there is quantum entanglement. This suggests that entangled particles might be interconnected through consciousness, regardless of distance. Change the state of one, and the other instantly changes as well. Einstein famously called it spooky action at a distance. Could this entanglement extend beyond particles, connecting us all in ways we don't yet understand? Underlying this all is what philosophers call the hard problem of consciousness, the inherent difficulty in explaining how subjective experience arises from physical matter. How does the wet, gray matter of the brain give rise to our thoughts, feelings, and sense of self? Some argue that consciousness isn't just a byproduct of the brain, but a fundamental aspect of reality itself, like space, time, or gravity. What if consciousness is not just contained within us, but all around us? Putting all this together, it begs the question, did the Pentagon's research explore the possibility of amplifying the observer effect through consciousness technologies? Could they have been seeking ways to manipulate reality at a quantum level, bending the laws of physics with the power of the mind? If consciousness is the key, what doors might it unlock? This leads us to the concept of remote influence, the ability to affect a person, object, or event from a distance using only the power of the mind. While it may sound like science fiction, anecdotal evidence and some scientific studies suggest that it might be possible. Think of alleged cases of psychic healing, where individuals claim to have healed others through focused intention, or instances where people claim to have influenced the outcome of events from afar, like affecting the roll of a dice. Even the placebo effect, where a patient's belief in a treatment can lead to real physical improvements, demonstrates the power of the mind to influence the body. But where do we draw the ethical lines? Is it acceptable to attempt to influence others without their knowledge or consent? What if someone used remote influence to manipulate your decisions or control your actions? The potential for abuse is clear. The dangers of individuals or groups wielding the power of remote influence over others cannot be overstated. What safeguards would be necessary to prevent abuse? Who gets to decide what is acceptable influence and what is not? The implications for individual autonomy and societal control are staggering. Could we potentially be facing a cosmic threat where understanding and managing the power of consciousness becomes essential for our very survival? Finally, let's consider a mind-bending possibility, the simulation hypothesis. This is the idea that our reality isn't what it seems, but rather a sophisticated computer simulation, akin to a cosmic video game. While it may sound like science fiction, the simulation hypothesis has gained traction among some scientists and philosophers. If reality is a simulation, what does that mean for our understanding of consciousness? Perhaps consciousness is the fundamental code that underlies the simulation. If reality is a simulation, then consciousness could be the programmer, the program itself, or even the player controlling an avatar within the game. Are we living in a world of code? Have you ever experienced a glitch in the matrix? That feeling that something is not quite right with reality, like a fleeting sense of déjà vu or a strange synchronicity that seems to defy the laws of physics. These experiences could be interpreted as errors in the simulation, moments when the underlying code flickers or falters. Bringing this back to the Pentagon's research, we have to ask, is it possible that the military is exploring ways to hack the simulation to gain access to higher levels of reality? Or are they trying to protect us from someone else who can? Is the pursuit of consciousness a quest to understand the rules of the game or to rewrite them entirely? The answer, if it exists, is undoubtedly hidden behind layers of secrecy and profound ethical dilemmas. But behind those dilemmas is an even deeper question. What happens if we learn we aren't the only ones playing the game? If the Pentagon entertained even the slightest possibility of a simulated reality, what implications does that hold for their understanding of consciousness, and more importantly, how they might seek to manipulate it? Let's explore the fascinating concept of the non-local mind, the notion that consciousness isn't confined to your brain or body, but extends beyond the limitations of space and time. Imagine Project Stargate's remote viewers accurately describing events unfolding thousands of miles away, or even glimpses into the past or future. Non-locality offers a potential explanation that consciousness can transcend space-time constraints, accessing information regardless of physical distance or temporal separation. Consider a remote viewer tasked with describing a hidden underground facility in a foreign country. Using only coordinates, they accurately depict the facility's layout, the equipment inside, and even the activities of the personnel, all without ever physically being there. How can such a feat be possible unless consciousness possesses a non-local quality? This idea gains further weight when we consider theories like the block universe, which proposes that all moments in time past, present, and future exist simultaneously. If this is true, then consciousness might be able to navigate this block of spacetime, accessing information from any point along its timeline. Could quantum entanglement be the key that unlocks the non-local capabilities of the mind? Could entangled particles, seemingly linked regardless of distance, provide a mechanism for consciousness to operate outside the conventional boundaries of space and time? Did the Pentagon explore methods to amplify non-local abilities, seeking to create a military intelligence force capable of gathering information from anywhere, at any time? What strategic advantage would such a capability confer? Let's now turn our attention to the realm of lucid dreaming, where the dreamer becomes aware that they are dreaming and can often exert control over the dream environment. What if the Pentagon saw lucid dreaming not just as a quirky phenomenon, but as a potential training ground for soldiers, a space for simulated combat scenarios, or a sandbox for developing strategic innovations. Imagine soldiers honing their skills in realistic, risk-free environments, experiencing intense combat situations, and refining their tactics without facing real-world consequences. The key to effective lucid dreaming lies in reality testing, performing actions within the dream that would be impossible in waking life, confirming the dream state. This could involve attempting to fly, breathing underwater, or manipulating objects with your mind. The successful integration of this practice with ancient wisdom, such as Tibetan dream yoga, blurs the line between the inner world of consciousness and what we consider to be objective reality. Could mastering the art of lucid dreaming offer insights into the very fabric of consciousness itself? But Project Stargate and the Gateway experience might only represent the visible tip of a much larger iceberg. What if there existed other, far more secretive consciousness-related programs buried deep within the Pentagon and other government agencies? Consider MKULTRA, the infamous CIA project that explored mind control techniques, albeit through unethical and often horrific means. While Stargate has been declassified, albeit with heavy redactions, what about the programs that remain shrouded in absolute secrecy? What methods are employed to conceal this sensitive research from public scrutiny? And what dangers might lurk within these covert operations, conducted without public oversight or ethical constraints? These questions lead us to the unsettling prospect of neuroweaponry, technologies that directly target the brain and nervous system, potentially manipulating thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. Imagine directed energy weapons capable of disrupting brain function from a distance, or the strategic deployment of subliminal messaging in psychological warfare. Could such weapons erode individual autonomy, paving the way for a society where freedom of thought becomes a distant memory? What are the ethical implications of weaponizing thought itself, blurring the line between persuasion and outright coercion? But it's not all doom and gloom. What if, instead of focusing solely on individual consciousness, the Pentagon sought to harness the power of collective consciousness, the idea that individual minds are interconnected and form a larger, unified field of awareness? Envision the noosphere, sometimes referred to as the global brain, encompassing all human thought and activity. Could the Pentagon be exploring ways to tap into this collective consciousness, perhaps to gauge public opinion, predict future events, or even subtly influence the course of history? Could this shared planetary consciousness be the gateway to understanding reality itself, allowing us to tap into a deeper level of awareness? What if the motivation behind all this research wasn't merely strategic advantage over human adversaries, but a desperate need to defend against threats from beyond our world? Is it possible that consciousness itself could serve as a shield against alien technologies or psychic attacks, offering protection against forces we don't yet fully understand? Consider the ongoing research at Skinwalker Ranch, with its connections to unexplained aerial phenomena and paranormal events. Might these investigations point to a cosmic battle unfolding, where understanding and harnessing the power of consciousness becomes essential for our very survival? What if the real enemy isn't human at all, forcing us to reconsider our assumptions about the Pentagon's true motives and the very nature of the conflict we face? As we stand at this critical juncture, we face two divergent paths for the future of consciousness, one of evolution and empowerment, and one of control and manipulation. The ethical challenges are immense, demanding public awareness and democratic oversight to ensure that these powerful technologies are used for the betterment of humanity, not its subjugation. The future of consciousness depends on the choices we make today. Each individual action, each step we take to develop our own consciousness, shapes reality and influences these powerful organizations, reinforcing our ability to regain control and determine the course of the future. But how do we take back that control and reclaim the power to shape our own reality? But how do we reclaim our inherent ability to mold reality, to become active participants in creation rather than passive observers? Perhaps the answer lies not only in cutting-edge science, but also in rediscovering the wisdom of ages past. Consider the persistent whispers of lost civilizations like Atlantis and Mu, cultures said to have possessed technologies far exceeding our current capabilities, particularly in the realm of consciousness. Ancient texts and esoteric traditions hint at energy sources harnessed through crystal technology, not just for power generation, but for consciousness amplification. Imagine quartz crystals, meticulously shaped and arranged, resonating with the Earth's energy fields, creating conduits for enhanced psychic abilities and collective thought. Could piezoelectricity, the ability of certain materials to generate electricity under mechanical stress, be the key to unlocking this ancient technology? Perhaps these civilizations understood how to harness piezoelectric effects on a grand scale, using massive crystal structures to create energy fields that influenced consciousness itself. Think of it as an ancient internet, a network of resonating crystals facilitating telepathic communication and shared experiences across vast distances. And what of the sacred geometry that underlies so many ancient temples and monuments? The Great Pyramid of Giza, for example, stands as a testament to mathematical precision and astronomical alignment. Theories abound suggesting its geometric ratios and precise orientation towards specific constellations were not merely aesthetic choices, but deliberate design features intended to create specific energy fields. Could the pyramid act as a giant resonator, focusing electromagnetic energy and influencing the consciousness of those within its field? Perhaps ancient architects and engineers, initiates in esoteric knowledge, understood how to manipulate the very fabric of space and time through sacred geometry, creating structures that served as portals to altered states of awareness. These weren't merely places of worship, but sophisticated machines designed to interact with the human mind. The rediscovery of these lost technologies could amplify our understanding of consciousness. These ancient societies understood principles that modern science is only beginning to glimpse. This esoteric knowledge, once relegated to the realm of myth and legend, may hold the key to unlocking our full potential, serving as an instruction manual for manipulating consciousness and shaping reality. This leads us to the concept of the Akashic Records, the universe's ultimate knowledge repository. Did these ancient technologies grant access to this universal library? Now, let's shift our focus to a seemingly different area: sensory deprivation. The science behind it reveals profound insights into the nature of consciousness. Flotation tanks, or isolation tanks, drastically reduce external stimulation, cutting off the brain from its usual sensory input. This reduction triggers a cascade of neurological effects, leading to altered states of consciousness, vivid hallucinations, and heightened suggestibility. The brain, starved of external stimuli, turns inward, amplifying internal signals and allowing subconscious thoughts and emotions to surface. But beyond its potential for scientific exploration, sensory deprivation also holds a darker side. The Pentagon has explored its applications for enhanced interrogation techniques, seeking ways to break down resistance and extract information from uncooperative subjects. Historical evidence reveals the disturbing use of sensory deprivation in MKULTRA experiments, where individuals were subjected to extreme isolation and psychological manipulation, often with devastating consequences. This raises profound ethical concerns about the use of such techniques, blurring the line between legitimate intelligence gathering and outright torture. However, sensory deprivation isn't solely a tool for coercion. It can also be a powerful catalyst for self-discovery and personal transformation. By removing external distractions, individuals can access deeper levels of consciousness, exploring their inner world with unprecedented clarity. Many have reported profound meditative experiences, creative breakthroughs, and a sense of connection to something larger than themselves while immersed in sensory deprivation. Consider the ancient practice of meditation in caves or prolonged periods of solitude undertaken by spiritual seekers across cultures. These practices mirror the principles of sensory deprivation, reflecting a universal human desire to explore the depths of consciousness by minimizing external stimuli. This exploration naturally leads us to a deeper dive into the Akashic Records, often referred to as the Cosmic Records or the Book of Life. Imagine it as a vast, universal library containing a record of every thought, event, and experience that has ever occurred, a complete history of the universe imprinted on the very fabric of reality. How might one access this infinite source of knowledge? Various methods have been proposed, including deep meditation, hypnotic regression, and even remote viewing. Guided meditation techniques often involve visualizing a pathway or portal leading to a grand hall or library where the Akashic Records are stored. By focusing intention and quieting the mind, individuals can supposedly gain access to specific information or explore past events. Is this merely a symbolic representation of accessing the subconscious mind, or a genuine connection to a universal field of information? The Akashic Records share a compelling connection with Carl Jung's concept of the collective unconscious, the shared reservoir of archetypes, symbols, and instincts that underlies individual consciousness. Could the Akashic Records and the collective unconscious be two facets of the same underlying reality, different perspectives on a single, unified field of awareness? If so, accessing the Akashic Records might be akin to tapping into the collective wisdom of humanity, gaining insights that transcend individual experience. This raises a chilling possibility. Has the Pentagon developed technologies to access the Akashic Records for military intelligence or strategic advantage? Imagine a military force capable of accessing all past, present, and even potential future events. The implications are staggering. Could they predict enemy movements, anticipate global crises, or even manipulate historical timelines to their advantage? What are the limits of such power, and what safeguards are in place to prevent its abuse? This quest for hidden knowledge also implicates esoteric societies like the Rosicrucians, Freemasons, and the Golden Dawn. These groups, often shrouded in secrecy, claim to preserve and transmit ancient wisdom related to consciousness, hidden technologies, and the very nature of reality. But what is the true nature of their knowledge, and what are their ultimate goals? Symbolism and ritual play a central role in these societies, serving as a means to encode and transmit knowledge across generations. A seemingly simple Masonic ritual, for instance, might contain layers of symbolic meaning, representing esoteric principles related to consciousness, the universe, and the human condition. Could these symbols and rituals be more than just historical artifacts, acting as keys to unlocking hidden potentials within the human mind? Perhaps the repetitive nature of the rituals helps to embed certain concepts and archetypes within the subconscious minds of the participants, subtly influencing their perceptions and behaviors. These societies have exerted a significant influence on political and economic power structures throughout history. Members of these groups may have played a role in shaping historical events, subtly guiding the course of nations and influencing global affairs. Is this influence benign, a force for progress and enlightenment, or something more sinister, a hidden hand manipulating events to serve their own agenda? The persistent secrecy surrounding esoteric societies only deepens the mystery. Uncovering their true goals and activities proves incredibly challenging, as they often operate behind closed doors, guarding their secrets jealously. This secrecy mirrors the covert nature of the Pentagon's consciousness research, suggesting a possible connection between these seemingly disparate groups. Are they working together, sharing knowledge and resources in pursuit of a common goal? Or are they engaged in a silent battle for control of the planet, each vying for dominance in the realm of consciousness? All this leads us to the unsettling idea of reverse engineering the soul, which begins with defining the soul itself. Is it simply consciousness, our sense of self, or something more? Perhaps the soul is the essence of our being, that which animates the body and persists beyond physical death. Interpretations of the soul vary widely across religions and philosophical traditions, ranging from a discrete entity to an emergent property of complex systems. But what if scientists sought to reverse engineer the soul to understand the fundamental principles of consciousness in order to replicate or manipulate it? Imagine researchers dissecting the human mind, mapping neural networks, and identifying the biological correlates of consciousness. Could they create artificial consciousness, uploading a human mind into a computer or transferring consciousness from one body to another? The ethical implications are staggering. Can consciousness be separated from its physical or spiritual origins? Is it possible to create a truly sentient being, or would such an attempt inevitably result in a distorted, incomplete replica? And what rights would such a being possess? This research may be pushing the boundaries of what is ethically permissible, prompting us to consider whether we are venturing into territory that should remain unexplored. Has the military crossed a line in its relentless pursuit of knowledge, sacrificing ethical considerations in the name of national security? The potential consequences of tampering with the soul become even more disturbing when we consider the Mandela effect, a phenomenon where large groups of people share the same false memories about past events. Take, for example, the common misremembering of the Berenstain Bears' name as Berenstain Bears, or the famous Star Wars line, frequently recalled as, "No, I am your father," instead of the actual "No, I am your father." What accounts for these shared discrepancies in memory? One intriguing explanation connects the Mandela effect to the simulation hypothesis, suggesting that these false memories might be glitches in the system, subtle errors in the programming of our reality. But alternative explanations exist, ranging from simple confabulation, where our minds fill in gaps in memory with plausible but inaccurate details, to the power of suggestion, where widespread misinformation can influence our recollections of past events. But now, consider a chilling twist. What if the Pentagon isn't just studying the Mandela effect, but actively manipulating it? What if they are intentionally altering reality, subtly rewriting the past to create new timelines or erase inconvenient truths? Or, perhaps more plausibly, they are trying to understand why the Mandela effect occurs, seeking to identify the source of these reality shifts and develop countermeasures. Could it be that external forces are attempting to alter our reality, and the Pentagon is desperately trying to protect us from these manipulations? What cosmic threat are they preparing for, and what role does our collective consciousness play in this hidden battle for reality? But what is the mechanism that allows for these manipulations? Is it possible that the key lies in understanding the quantum realm, where the very fabric of reality blurs between possibility and actuality? This leads us to quantum biology, a field that dares to explore the intersection of quantum mechanics and living systems. We often think of quantum effects as confined to the realm of subatomic particles, but what if these bizarre phenomena play a crucial role in the very processes that define life itself? Quantum biology suggests that photosynthesis, for example, may rely on quantum coherence, allowing plants to explore multiple energy pathways simultaneously, vastly increasing efficiency. Imagine a plant cell as a miniature quantum computer, effortlessly calculating the optimal route for energy transfer. Could this explain the seemingly impossible efficiency of photosynthesis, a process that lies at the very foundation of our biosphere? And if quantum mechanics governs photosynthesis, could it also be fundamental to consciousness itself? The hypothesis that consciousness may be a quantum phenomenon opens up radical possibilities. Perhaps the subjective experience, that feeling of being, arises from quantum processes within the brain. Consider the intricate dance of neurons firing, synapses connecting, and neurotransmitters flowing. Could these processes be influenced by quantum entanglement, allowing different parts of the brain to communicate instantaneously, transcending the limitations of space and time? If so, consciousness wouldn't be merely a byproduct of brain activity, but an intrinsic property of the quantum realm, a fundamental aspect of reality itself. This might explain why consciousness seems to defy easy explanation within a purely materialist framework. It's like trying to understand the internet by only studying the wires and cables, without grasping the underlying software and protocols. This idea resonates with ancient wisdom traditions that have long emphasized the interconnectedness of all things. Ancient healing practices, such as traditional Chinese medicine and Ayurveda, often speak of subtle energies and meridians that flow through the body, influencing health and well-being. Could these practices, developed through centuries of observation and experimentation, have inadvertently utilized quantum effects? Perhaps acupuncture, for instance, stimulates specific points on the body, influencing the flow of quantum information and promoting healing at a fundamental level. It's as if these ancient healers possessed an intuitive understanding of the quantum nature of reality, a knowledge passed down through generations, now validated by modern science. These ancient healers may have been manipulating what some call the biofield, also known as the aura or prana. The biofield is described as a subtle energy field that surrounds and permeates living organisms, a field of information that interacts with the physical body. Imagine it as a blueprint for health and well-being, a dynamic matrix of energy that can be influenced by our thoughts, emotions, and environment. Is the Pentagon looking into ways to measure and manipulate the biofield? Are they seeking to understand how this subtle energy field can be used to diagnose illness, enhance performance, or even influence behavior? Could the biofield be the key to unlocking new forms of healing and human potential? Or could it be weaponized, turning the human aura into a battlefield? From biofields, we move into the realm of time. Could it be rewritten? While time travel remains in the realm of theoretical physics, concepts like wormholes and closed time-like curves suggest that the conventional linear understanding of time might be an illusion. A wormhole, a hypothetical tunnel through spacetime, could potentially connect two distant points in time, allowing for instantaneous travel to the past or future. Closed time-like curves, theoretical paths through spacetime that loop back on themselves, raise the possibility of traveling in a circle through time, revisiting the same moments repeatedly. While these concepts are highly speculative, they challenge our fundamental assumptions about the nature of time and causality. But what happens if you change the past? The grandfather paradox illustrates the inherent instability of rewritten histories. If you were to travel back in time and prevent your grandfather from meeting your grandmother, you would cease to exist, creating a paradox that unravels the very fabric of reality. This paradox highlights the delicate balance of cause and effect, suggesting that any attempt to alter the past could have unforeseen and potentially catastrophic consequences. It's like pulling a thread in a tapestry, only to find that the entire fabric begins to unravel. Could the Pentagon be investigating the possibility of time travel despite the inherent paradoxes? Imagine the military applications, gathering intelligence from the future, preventing attacks before they happen, or even altering the course of history to secure a strategic advantage. If the past can be changed, who controls the timeline, and what are their motives? The implications are staggering, raising profound questions about free will, determinism, and the very nature of reality. This raises the unsettling possibility that the Mandela effect, those shared false memories we discussed earlier, could be evidence of timeline manipulations. Is it possible that the Pentagon, or some other clandestine organization, is subtly altering our past, rewriting history to suit their own agenda? Or could these shifts be the result of natural fluctuations in the spacetime continuum, subtle tremors in the fabric of reality that cause our memories to become misaligned? Perhaps the truth is less about intentional manipulation and more about the fluid and subjective nature of reality itself. This brings us back to the biofield and measuring the unseen. The biofield, as we mentioned, is often referred to as the subtle energy field that surrounds and permeates living organisms. While the concept remains controversial within mainstream science, proponents suggest that it plays a vital role in health, well-being, and even consciousness itself. It's important to remember that the rejection of an idea by mainstream science doesn't necessarily invalidate it. For centuries, the scientific establishment dismissed the idea of acupuncture, only to later acknowledge its efficacy through rigorous research. Instruments like Kirlian photography, which captures images of electrical discharges around objects, have been used to visualize the biofield. While some dismiss Kirlian photography as merely capturing coronal discharges, others argue that it reveals a more fundamental energy field that reflects the state of an organism's health. More sophisticated techniques, such as SQUID, superconducting quantum interference device, magnetometry, can measure extremely weak magnetic fields produced by the body, potentially providing insights into the biofield's properties. What is the Pentagon doing with this? Are they funding research into advanced biofield imaging techniques, seeking to develop new ways to diagnose illness, detect threats, or even manipulate human consciousness? Could biofield therapies like Reiki and acupuncture offer a means of healing by manipulating this subtle energy field? Reiki practitioners, for example, claim to channel energy through their hands, promoting relaxation, reducing pain, and accelerating healing. Acupuncture, as mentioned, involves stimulating specific points on the body to restore the flow of energy along meridians. If the biofield is indeed a real phenomenon, could these therapies be working by restoring balance to this energy field, promoting the body's innate healing capabilities? Is the Pentagon trying to understand these ancient practices, seeking to unlock their secrets for military applications? Imagine soldiers with enhanced healing abilities, able to recover rapidly from injuries and withstand extreme conditions. Connecting the biofield back to quantum biology, it's conceivable that quantum effects are responsible for its very existence and properties. Perhaps the biofield is a macroscopic manifestation of quantum entanglement, a field of interconnectedness that links all living things at a fundamental level. If so, manipulating the biofield could have profound effects on health, consciousness, and even reality itself. Imagine a technology that could amplify or dampen the biofield, influencing emotions, thoughts, and behaviors. This is where we enter a more sinister realm, the potential for a shadow government to harness consciousness for control. What exactly is a shadow government? The term refers to a network of unelected officials and powerful individuals who allegedly exert control over government policy from behind the scenes. Think of it as a puppet master, pulling the strings of political leaders and influencing global events. This deep state operates in the shadows, shielded from public scrutiny, pursuing its own agenda, often at the expense of the people. Let's not forget those esoteric society connections we've discussed. Could these societies serve as recruiting grounds for the shadow government, providing access to ancient knowledge, hidden technologies, and individuals with exceptional mental abilities? Perhaps the rituals and initiations within these societies serve to indoctrinate members, instilling a sense of loyalty and obedience to the shadow government's agenda. It's as if these societies are the training grounds for a secret army of influencers, subtly shaping the world according to their will. And then there's the military-industrial complex, the powerful alliance between military contractors, government agencies, and influential politicians. This complex has a vested interest in promoting certain technologies and agendas, often driven by profit and the pursuit of power. Could the shadow government be using the military-industrial complex as a tool to advance its goals, funneling resources into secret projects and manipulating public opinion to support its agenda? It's a self-perpetuating cycle of power, where money and influence flow in a closed loop, reinforcing the shadow government's control. The secrecy surrounding the shadow government only reinforces the overarching theme of hidden knowledge and manipulation. Uncovering its true goals and activities proves incredibly challenging, as it operates in the shadows, shrouded in layers of deception and misinformation. This secrecy mirrors the covert nature of the Pentagon's consciousness research, suggesting a possible connection between these seemingly disparate entities. Are they working together, sharing knowledge and resources in pursuit of a common goal? Or are they engaged in a silent battle for control of the planet, each vying for dominance in the realm of consciousness? This power dynamic extends into a hyperdimensional reality. We experience the world in 3 spatial dimensions: length, width, and height. But what if there are other dimensions beyond our perception, hidden realms that exist alongside our own? Higher spatial dimensions are difficult to visualize, but mathematicians and physicists have developed models that suggest their existence. Imagine a 2-dimensional being living on a flat surface, unable to perceive the 3rd dimension of height. We, in turn, might be similarly limited in our perception, unaware of the higher dimensions that surround us. String theory, a leading theoretical framework in physics, proposes the existence of up to 11 dimensions, most of which are curled up at the subatomic level. Could consciousness exist in these higher dimensions, with our physical brains only capable of perceiving a limited aspect of it? Perhaps our thoughts, emotions, and memories are not confined to the physical brain, but extend into these higher dimensional realms. Imagine our consciousness as an iceberg, with only a small portion visible above the surface of the water, while the vast majority remains hidden beneath. If so, accessing these higher dimensions could unlock new levels of awareness, granting us access to untapped potentials and expanding our understanding of reality. Now, consider the possibility that the cosmic threat, the one the Pentagon might be preparing for, originates from one of these higher dimensions. Perhaps these entities exist beyond our comprehension, possessing abilities that defy our current understanding of physics. If so, the Pentagon's research into consciousness may be an attempt to understand how to defend against this threat, to develop technologies that can bridge the dimensional gap and protect our reality. It could be that they are not just trying to control consciousness, but to understand its fundamental nature in order to safeguard humanity from an existential threat. This could be the driver behind the consciousness transfer. Consciousness transfer, also referred to as mind uploading, is the hypothetical process of transferring a person's consciousness from one physical body to another, or even to a digital substrate like a computer. Imagine creating a perfect digital replica of your brain, capturing all of its neural connections, memories, and personality traits, and then uploading this replica into a new body, whether biological or artificial. Would this transferred consciousness retain your original identity and memories? Would it still be you, or merely a copy? The ethical and philosophical implications of consciousness transfer are staggering. What are the implications for personal identity and the soul? Would the transferred consciousness possess the same rights and protections as a biological human? And what would happen to the original body? Would it be discarded, or would it continue to exist alongside the transferred consciousness, creating 2 distinct individuals with the same memories and personality? It's like creating a clone, but instead of replicating the body, you're replicating the mind. Could the Pentagon view consciousness transfer as a way to preserve valuable personnel, such as soldiers, scientists, or political leaders, in the event of a catastrophe? Imagine creating digital backups of key individuals, ensuring their survival even if their physical bodies are destroyed. Or could they be seeking to create super soldiers with enhanced abilities, transferring the consciousness of skilled warriors into genetically engineered bodies, creating an army of unstoppable killing machines? This idea connects to ancient beliefs in reincarnation and the afterlife. Is the Pentagon's research a modern, technological attempt to achieve what ancient Egyptians tried with mummification, preserving consciousness beyond physical death? Perhaps the human desire to transcend physical limitations is a timeless one, manifesting in different forms across cultures and eras. It's as if we are all searching for a way to cheat death, to leave our mark on the world and ensure our survival beyond the confines of our mortal bodies. But what happens when this quest for immortality leads to the creation of an all-seeing eye? Global surveillance technologies are becoming increasingly sophisticated, capable of monitoring our every move, analyzing our every thought, and predicting our every behavior. Facial recognition software can identify individuals in crowds. Our iPod monitoring systems can track our online activity, and data mining algorithms can uncover hidden patterns in our personal information. The potential for abuse is immense. Predictive policing algorithms based on big data and advanced technology raise profound ethical concerns. These algorithms analyze crime data to predict where and when crimes are likely to occur, allowing law enforcement to deploy resources proactively. But what happens when these algorithms are based on biased data, perpetuating existing inequalities and targeting innocent individuals based on their race, ethnicity, or socio-economic status? Is it possible for the all-seeing eye to be used for good, to prevent crime and protect citizens? Or is its nature inherently corrupting, leading to a dystopian surveillance state where privacy is a thing of the past? These surveillance technologies could be used to monitor and analyze collective consciousness, tracking trends in public opinion, identifying potential threats, and even manipulating emotions on a mass scale. Imagine a system that could detect and suppress dissent before it even arises, creating a society of docile, compliant citizens. Is the Pentagon developing such technologies, seeking to control not just our physical world, but our very thoughts and feelings? Connecting the surveillance state back to the overarching theme of government secrecy, the potential for abuse of power becomes terrifyingly clear. What safeguards are in place to prevent these technologies from being used to silence dissent, manipulate public opinion, or even control our minds? How is it all connected, and what does this mean for humanity? The only way to escape this control is to break the simulation. Breaking free from this simulation requires a multifaceted approach, starting with the fundamental act of questioning reality. Cultivate awareness, develop critical thinking skills, and challenge the assumptions that underpin our everyday experience. Don't blindly accept what you are told, whether by authority figures, media outlets, or even your own inner voice. Seek out diverse perspectives, challenge your own biases, and form your own independent judgments. It's like becoming a detective in your own life, searching for clues and uncovering the hidden truths that lie beneath the surface. And finally, reclaim your power. Embrace the power of individual consciousness to shape reality, even within a simulation. Experiment with manifestation techniques, affirmations, and visualization, focusing your intention on creating a more positive future. Remember that your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs have a profound impact on the world around you, influencing your experiences and shaping your destiny. It's like becoming the architect of your own reality, designing the life you want to live, and then bringing it into being through the power of your mind. Now is the time to take an active role in shaping your own life and creating a more positive future. Don't wait for someone else to solve your problems or to tell you what to believe. Take responsibility for your own thoughts, emotions, and actions, and become a force for positive change in the world. The future is not something that happens to you, it is something you create. And the tools for transcending this reality are already within us, waiting to be awakened. Have you ever paused to consider that the very fabric of reality might be more magical, more interconnected than we've been led to believe? For centuries, science presented us with a clockwork universe, a deterministic machine governed by rigid laws. But quantum physics has shattered that illusion, revealing a reality that is probabilistic, interconnected, and deeply influenced by observation. Isn't it time we re-enchant our world? Imagine the shift from a mechanical watch with its predictable gears and springs to holographic projection, a shimmering illusion born from light and interference. The Newtonian universe is the watch, ticking away according to preset rules. The quantum universe is the hologram, fluid, dynamic, and responsive to consciousness. This re-enchantment isn't about rejecting science, but embracing a more holistic view, one that acknowledges the inherent wonder and mystery of existence. This shift isn't new, however. Isn't it simply a return to ancient ways of knowing? Perhaps ancient cultures with shamanic practices and animistic beliefs understood the interconnectedness of the universe on a deeper, more intuitive level than we do today. What if their myths and legends weren't just primitive stories, but symbolic representations of profound quantum truths? To understand these truths, we need to learn the language of the subconscious, a language that operates beyond rational thought. We need to learn to speak in symbols. Think of symbols as keys that unlock the hidden chambers of our minds. They bypass the logical, rational brain and speak directly to the subconscious, triggering emotions, memories, and archetypal patterns. Consider the work of Carl Jung, who explored the power of archetypes, universal symbols and motifs that resonate across cultures and throughout history. The hero, the mother, the shadow, these archetypes are deeply embedded in our collective unconscious, shaping our dreams, our stories, and our understanding of the world. But what if the Pentagon is also fluent in this language? Could they be using symbols for covert communication, embedding hidden messages in plain sight, programming the subconscious minds of soldiers or even the population at large? Perhaps reality itself is a symbolic language, a code waiting to be deciphered, and each of us possesses the innate ability to unlock its secrets. If that's true, then some forces may benefit from keeping us from learning it. Throughout history, mystics, healers, and spiritual teachers have often been persecuted, branded as heretics, witches, or enemies of the state. Why? Could it be that these individuals possessed a knowledge that threatened established power structures? Were their teachings suppressed because they offered alternative ways of knowing and experiencing reality, ways that empowered individuals to think for themselves and challenge authority? Consider the witch hunts of the Middle Ages, the suppression of indigenous spiritual practices around the world, and the demonization of alternative spiritual beliefs in modern society. Isn't it all an effort to control the narrative, to limit our access to knowledge, and to keep us from awakening to our true potential? But control takes on many faces in the modern era. Is the constant barrage of materialism and consumerism a more subtle form of spiritual suppression, distracting us from our inner selves and keeping us trapped in a cycle of endless desire? Ultimately, this war on consciousness is a battle for our own minds. Are we actively fighting for or against our awakening? Do you believe in something, or do you know it? Belief systems can be comforting, providing a framework for understanding the world and a sense of belonging. However, beliefs are often based on faith, on accepting something as true without direct evidence or personal experience. True knowledge, on the other hand, comes from direct experience, from engaging with the world in a way that validates our understanding. This is where practices like meditation, self-inquiry, and experimentation become invaluable tools for expanding consciousness. They allow us to move beyond simply believing in spiritual concepts and to actively experience them for ourselves, whether it be through a sense of inner peace, heightened awareness, or a deeper connection to the divine. Is this what the ancients were trying to tell us? Perhaps ancient spiritual traditions were ultimately aimed at facilitating direct experiences of the divine, offering a path to liberation that transcended mere belief. Unfortunately, there may be something preventing us from achieving enlightenment. Some call it a frequency fence, a barrier preventing us from ascending to higher consciousness. Imagine an energetic barrier surrounding the Earth, preventing humanity from accessing higher levels of consciousness. This frequency fence, as it's often called, is said to be maintained by a variety of technological and social mechanisms, creating a kind of prison for our minds. EMF pollution from cell phones and power lines, processed foods that lack vital nutrients, and negative media that promotes fear and division, all these factors are said to contribute to the frequency fence, lowering our vibration and keeping us trapped in a state of ignorance and control. But is it real? And if so, how do we break through? Meditation, mindfulness, connecting with nature, cultivating positive emotions, and surrounding ourselves with uplifting influences, these are some of the tools that can help us raise our vibration and pierce the frequency fence. But what if this fence isn't intentionally created by a malevolent force, but a natural byproduct of our collective consciousness, a reflection of our own fears and limitations? Perhaps the only way to find out is through divine disobedience, by actively hacking the program. To hack the program, we must question authority and challenge conventional wisdom. Don't accept anything at face value, even if it comes from trusted sources. Be willing to think for yourself, to conduct your own research, and to form your own conclusions, even if they go against the grain. This requires courage, a willingness to stand up for what you believe in, even when it's unpopular. Embrace ethical non-compliance. Refuse to comply with unjust laws or social norms, and reclaim your autonomy. Make conscious choices that align with your values, even if those choices go against the grain. What could this look like in practice? Perhaps it means choosing to support local businesses over multinational corporations, opting out of consumer culture, or speaking out against injustice, even when it's risky. By consciously choosing to live in accordance with our values, we disrupt the system and pave the way for a more just and equitable world. This all serves as a call to action, a call to participate in a great awakening. Are you ready to reshape our collective destiny by inspiring and empowering others? If we are indeed participating in a great awakening, what is the underlying structure upon which this awakening unfolds? Could there be a global consciousness grid, a subtle energetic field connecting all minds on the planet? Imagine a vast, invisible network, constantly humming with the thoughts, emotions, and intentions of every living being. If such a grid exists, could the Pentagon be attempting to map it, to understand the flow of consciousness on a global scale? This isn't as far-fetched as it sounds when you consider Rupert Sheldrake's concept of morphic resonance, the idea that patterns of behavior and thought can spread rapidly through a population simply by repetition. Or consider Ervin Laszlo's Akashic field theory, which posits a universal field of information that contains all past, present, and future knowledge. Is this grid something ancient cultures understood intuitively, using ritual and ceremony to tap into its power, while the Pentagon seeks to understand it through technology? What technologies might the Pentagon employ to map or monitor this hypothetical consciousness grid? Envision advanced satellite technology equipped with sophisticated sensors capable of detecting subtle fluctuations in the Earth's electromagnetic field. Imagine AI algorithms capable of sifting through massive amounts of data, identifying patterns in global thought or emotion, tracing the spread of ideas like a virus moving through a population. Going back to our earlier discussion of surveillance, could these technologies be used to predict social unrest, identify potential threats, or even manipulate public opinion on a grand scale? If thoughts and emotions can indeed spread through this network, then the power to monitor and influence it would be a formidable weapon. And what is the nature of this influence? What would happen if a wave of negativity washed over this grid? Conversely, what if a wave of positivity washed over it? What is the power of resonance within the consciousness grid? Consider this scenario. A collective meditation effort focused on reducing crime rates in a specific city. Thousands of people simultaneously visualizing peace and harmony, sending out positive intentions into the grid. Could this collective effort actually manifest a tangible change in the city's crime statistics? There have been documented studies and anecdotal accounts suggesting that such effects are possible, that collective consciousness can influence physical reality. If true, it raises profound questions about our individual responsibility in shaping the world around us. Are we, knowingly or unknowingly, contributing to a positive or negative feedback loop within this global consciousness grid? To further understand the interconnectedness of this potential grid, consider the concept of fractals, patterns that repeat themselves at different scales. Think of a snowflake, its intricate design a miniature version of the larger weather patterns that created it. Or consider Romanesco broccoli, with its spiraling florets that mimic the shape of the entire head. These are examples of self-similarity, a key characteristic of fractals. In this context, we can envision the consciousness grid as a fractal pattern, the individual mind mirroring the collective consciousness, the local community reflecting the global society, each level containing the essence of the whole. Zooming in or zooming out, you see the same patterns repeating themselves, reflecting the interconnected nature of reality. What if the consciousness grid is the underlying framework of our reality, perhaps even the simulation itself? The simulation is the canvas, and the grid is the underlying framework of the simulation. The individual consciousnesses are parts of the program running on that framework. Is the Pentagon seeking to map this fractal nature to understand the code that underlies our reality? And if this is true, it echoes the ancient Hermetic principle of as above, so below. The patterns found in the microcosm, such as the human body, are also reflected in the macrocosm, such as the universe. The branching patterns of our blood vessels mirror the branching patterns of river systems. The Fibonacci sequence found in seashells can also be observed in the spiral arms of galaxies. This principle suggests a fundamental unity, a mirroring of patterns across all scales of existence. Could it be that consciousness itself is fractal in nature, with self-similar patterns repeating at different scales of awareness? Perhaps our individual consciousness is simply a smaller version of a larger, more encompassing consciousness, a drop in the ocean reflecting the entirety of the sea. If consciousness is a fractal, understanding this nature can help individuals connect to higher levels of consciousness, unlocking hidden potentials. Now, if that is the case, imagine the Pentagon is attempting to understand the fractal nature of consciousness in order to unlock these hidden potentials, such as enhanced intuition or psychic abilities. Envision research streams diverging, some looking at individuals as mere components of the overarching structure, others dedicated to exploring the possibility of rewriting the very code of consciousness. What if the ultimate goal isn't simply to control minds, but to tap into the source code of reality itself, to manipulate the fundamental laws of the universe? This brings us to an even more profound question. What if all of reality is ultimately a product of consciousness, a manifestation of a dreaming God or universal mind? This idea, known as monism, is explored in various philosophical and spiritual traditions, from Hinduism to Advaita Vedanta. The implications are staggering. What if our individual consciousnesses are like dream characters within the dream of the universal mind? If this is true, it brings us full circle to the fractal concept, with each individual containing the potential of the whole, a microcosm reflecting the macrocosm of the divine. The universe a cosmic dream, and we are all actors within it. Within this framework, it's interesting to consider the power of imagination in shaping reality. After all, if we are characters in a dream, the dreamer's intentions influence everything we experience. What if consciously creating your own reality were as simple as harnessing your imagination through visualization, affirmations, and focused intention? There are countless testimonials of prominent voices talking about these topics. What if we really can manifest our desires, alter our circumstances, and even influence the course of events simply by focusing our thoughts and emotions in a specific direction? But here is where we reach another tension point. If we are characters in someone else's dream, who is the dreamer and what is their intention? Is the Pentagon trying to figure out who is dreaming us, or is it trying to control the narrative for the dreamer? This single question amplifies the mystery and the stakes of their research. And what if this universal mind is on the verge of awakening? What if there is a cosmic trigger on the horizon, an event that will trigger a mass awakening of consciousness on Earth? This idea, often associated with theories about planetary alignments, solar flares, or other cosmic phenomena, suggests that humanity is on the cusp of a major evolutionary leap. What could this trigger be? What actions would need to be taken as a result? Is the Pentagon aware of it? What would such an event entail? Some people believe that as we approach this cosmic trigger, we'll see a massive shift in reality, maybe even a jump to a new world. The alleged symptoms of ascension, such as increased intuition, synchronicities, and a sense of unease or disorientation, may become more pronounced. If you've experienced these symptoms, you're not alone. This collective experience of heightened awareness could be a sign that we're on the verge of something extraordinary. This potential cosmic trigger echoes ancient prophecies from various cultures, such as the Mayan calendar, the Hopi prophecies, and the Book of Revelation. These prophecies speak of a time of great change, a period of upheaval and transformation that will usher in a new era for humanity. Are we living in that time right now? But what is the Pentagon doing about it? Speculate on whether the Pentagon is aware of the cosmic trigger and is secretly preparing for it. Are they trying to control the outcome, or are they simply trying to understand what is happening? Are they mapping out potential scenarios, developing strategies for managing the mass awakening of consciousness? Are they aware of the potential for chaos and disruption, and are they trying to mitigate the risks? Are they trying to harness the power of the cosmic trigger for their own purposes? So, as we consider the possibility that the Pentagon is aware of the potential for a cosmic trigger, let's synthesize the insights we've gathered. We've explored the depths of the Pentagon's consciousness research, from Project Stargate's forays into remote viewing to the exploration of altered states, neuroweaponry, and the pursuit of understanding consciousness itself for military advantage. We've seen the extent and depth of the government's investment in these areas. But the core revelation here isn't just about control, it's about a dual-purpose understanding. This research is driven by both a desire for dominance and a deeper, perhaps defensive, need to understand the fundamental nature of consciousness. This creates a moral complexity, one that defies simple labels of good or evil, and instead forces us to ask a more critical question. What truly motivates those who hold positions of power? Moreover, we see a pattern completing itself here, ancient wisdom traditions echoing in modern scientific discoveries. The Pentagon's explorations, in a way, represent a modern quest to rediscover and wield ancient knowledge, even if their motives remain shrouded in moral ambiguity. Despite these powerful institutions, remember that individual consciousness and action remains the single most potent catalyst for change and personal empowerment. Regardless of what unseen power structures may be at play, the power to influence this landscape ultimately resides within you. But let's broaden our view. Beyond the immediate military applications, what are the broader implications of consciousness research for our understanding of reality itself, the very nature of the mind, and the untapped potential for human evolution? We are witnessing a shift in perspective, a move away from the cold, mechanical universe of yesterday toward a universe brimming with infinite possibilities. And as quantum physics suggests, and as the concept of a consciousness grid or the simulation hypothesis implies, all things are interconnected. Your thoughts, your actions, have consequences that ripple outwards, far beyond what you might immediately perceive. This understanding lays the groundwork for the implication architecture of our future, responsibility and choice. Advanced consciousness technologies present immense ethical challenges. Responsible development and use are paramount, absolutely. But so, too, is the cultivation of individual choice, the ability to resist manipulation, and the unwavering commitment to a path of personal empowerment. The transformation lies in shifting your perspective from a passive observer to an active co-creator, empowered to shape not only your own life, but contribute to a more positive future for all. Now, about that cosmic trigger. We speculated whether the Pentagon is aware and preparing, trying to control the outcome, or simply understand what is happening. But instead of seeking definitive answers about this potential cosmic threat, consider this. Perhaps the nature of the threat is less important than our collective response to it. Unity, compassion, and resilience in the face of the unknown, these are the qualities that will truly matter, regardless of what the future holds. The pattern of breaking the simulation, as it were, finds its fulfillment not in escaping reality, but in mastering it. Consider concrete, actionable steps to enhance your consciousness and reclaim your autonomy. Explore meditation techniques to still the mind, practice mindfulness to anchor yourself in the present moment, and cultivate critical thinking to discern truth from falsehood. Question everything. As for the question of who is dreaming us, perhaps it's not a single entity, but the collective consciousness of humanity itself, or a part of ourselves that has yet to be fully realized. If that's the case, we hold the power to alter the very fabric of the dream. Therefore, let's release the tension, shedding anxiety for hope and fear for empowerment. Even in a world of hidden agendas and potential threats, the power of consciousness remains the ultimate source of freedom and transformation. The choice is yours. Now, what are you going to do about it? If the Pentagon is exploring these realms of consciousness, what other hidden dimensions of reality remain to be discovered, and what role will you play in uncovering them? How can we apply consciousness-based technologies for healing, for resolving conflicts, or for fostering environmental sustainability? Explore the possibility of connecting with others who are drawn to these topics, building communities of exploration and collaboration. Whether it's through online forums, local meetups, or even starting your own channel, the power of collective inquiry can amplify individual insights. Don't be afraid to become an active researcher in your own life. Experiment with meditation, lucid dreaming, and other consciousness-enhancing practices. Keep a journal to document your findings, track your progress, and notice any synchronicities or patterns that emerge. The journey of discovery is a deeply personal one, but it is also a journey that we can undertake together.